Hello, everybody, and you're listening to the Soberful Podcast. And I am joined today by Sasha Tozzi. Did I say that correctly?
Tozzi, yeah.
Tozzi. Oh, you probably have that all the time, do you?
Yes.
Tozzi,
You're not the
Tozzi.
first.
I'm really delighted to have Sasha. I've known Sasha for quite a few years, really. I mean, right back to the She Recovers event in New York, which was 2017.
Yep,
Right?
7 years ago. Yep.
Jeez. And sort of, online connections. And I've just always just liked the stuff she posted and had some interactions. I thought, I've got to get her on because she's just really interesting. Sasha, why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself and what you do? And I want to get into your story.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Veronica. So now I am a recovery coach. I do hypnotherapy. I write, and I started doing that in 2015, about 4 years after I got sober. I got sober in 2011, and it was just kind of a natural evolution to, after I did some healing, to want to expand out and help other people and be open about sobriety and be, loud and unashamed. So I started with blogging and then got into like helping other people with one-to-one work and group work. After originally starting with mainly just addiction and sobriety, it moved into some codependency work and like all the branches of the same tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. One thing I'm interested in is I got sober when I was 27. You got sober at 26. So you said 2011. That's when my first son was born. Yeah. So I would love to, where did you grow up?
I grew up in the DC area, suburb of 15 minutes outside of DC proper, in the suburb of Maryland. Grew up there my whole life, so was born there and lived there until I went to college. Came back to the area a bunch of times in adulthood. Yeah.
So when did you discover alcohol? Tell us about how all of that started.
So in high school, I had a very hard time socially throughout my upbringing. And then in high school, it kind of got more pronounced with just being very uncomfortable in social settings. And I mean, I guess you would say social anxiety. And I had some exposure to alcohol and partying because I had 3 older siblings. So I kind of like, some of them were going out and sneaking, and it's sneaking past curfew and, doing the rebellious things that kids do. So that was my like introduction. And then I think I just one weekend at a party, a high school party, I think maybe actually the first time I got drunk, I was 14. And so I was going into freshman year of high school. And I was so little. I hadn't gone through puberty yet. I think my tolerance it was the first time I drank. My tolerance was just so low. I think I had like 1 or 2 beers and I was like sick, and someone had to carry me upstairs to, you know, kind of take care of me. And I don't remember much. I like was blacked out. So that began, but I do remember like being able to socialize a lot easier.
You hadn't really even gone through, but you were a child.
Yeah.
We were children.
Yeah, I was a child and very much a late bloomer, like didn't hit puberty until I was 16 or so. So when I was 14, incoming freshman, I was on cross country. I was a very good runner, very good student, but I was like so little, like unbelievably little, like maybe 95 pounds and like 5 feet, and looked like a child. And my friends looked like adults kind of. And I got a lot of attention for being little. Like, you're so little. You're so cute. Oh my God, you're so little. And I think that, on the one hand, I liked the attention. On the other hand, it just felt like negative attention because it's like I just felt very different that, I didn't have, my body wasn't developed. So I think I had a lot of shame about that and uncomfortability in my skin just around being like a woman and in comparison to my peers, just very, very behind. I mean, there's definitely other people that are late bloomers, but compared to the majority, I looked like I was in sixth grade.
That must have been really hard. That must have been really hard. I'm just kind of like, I've got a son on the verge of puberty. He's 13, and just the other day, I don't know, he hugged me or something, and he's still like got little boy hands, like soft. He's just soft and squishy, and I'm just like, and he's got smooth cheeks, and any day now it's gonna all change. It's such a hard time, and I think nearly all kids feel somewhat different in some way. But it must have been really hard when your peers look like women and you look like a sixth grader still.
Yes, it was, I guess. Yeah. I don't know that I've ever really like given it. I think one thing that was hard about it, because I had a few things that were different than the mainstream. Like I was a little behind. I had some learning disabilities, so I was a little behind in certain subjects as well. Behind where I was supposed to be, and so there were these different things. But I think with the puberty thing, it was like so visible.
Yeah.
It was so visible and I couldn't hide it. And while I didn't feel good enough to be like liked by boys because I wasn't even in the same
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think that was definitely like an aspect of it that was, I think, transitioning from middle school to high school at that, and so at that same age that I first drank, I really had a hard time with the adjustment. And I was in public school, but my parents, I had such a difficult time with the adjustment that we looked into other schools and private schools and all girls Catholic schools. And I remember I didn't ultimately end up going to any of those, but I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I would love to go to an all girls school where I wear a uniform and I don't have to worry about
Mm.
looking cute for boys, and I don't have to worry about picking out an outfit. Like that sounds like a dream come true. And if that's any indication of just like how much weight I put on the social aspect of, school and fitting in and being liked.
So alcohol became, like so many of us, it just became a way to fit in, feel more confident, socialize, like the things that we all desperately want when we're a teenager. What happened when you went into college? How did your drinking progress?
So I was always a binge drinker, and so I was able to go months and not even touch it. And I was very much a perfectionist student. So when I went to college, it was like all or nothing. So if I was going to try to drink in college, I was flunking out. Because I did do that a few times. I transferred and went to like four different colleges. When I was doing well in college, I wasn't drinking, I wasn't going out, I didn't really have friends. It was like two different lives. If I was focused on school, that was like my addiction. That was like my addiction. School, work, you know, uh, one track mind about it. And then if I tried to, balance with going out and socializing, I went so extreme that I couldn't do school. So my first year away in college, my first semester, I did that. I just did school. I didn't go out. I hardly made any friends. Didn't rush a sorority. And I was in Charleston, South Carolina, and sororities at this school were really big. And I got great grades, and I ultimately left after a semester because I wasn't, again, it was like the adjustment and the transition. It was just too hard mentally. Like I'd had diagnosed depression. I had had a suicide attempt
Mm.
that year. And I think that my parents were, they were cautious to send me away on my own and not be able to see what was going on or have any kind of so I would call home to my mom crying every day because I was homesick, but it was just, I don't think I was ready to be on my own, like be like an adult, And so I left and I took a semester off. Then I transferred to a new school. I got into cocaine at that new school and immediately failed out of college. Once cocaine was introduced, I really had a lot less. It was even more extreme and erratic and either on or off. Dropped out of there, moved back home, got a job, worked, spent like a good 5 years out of school. And then when I decided to go back, let's see, my last year finishing school, I was like, okay, I want to finish my undergrad degree. I have some credits that I have from these past school experiences. I've taken a good amount of time off. I was working in restaurant industry. My addiction was getting way worse. I had like an intervention at 20 years old for the cocaine stuff. And then I went back to school at 24 and finished at 26. And I graduated in 2012 and I got sober in 2011. So that lasts from 2011 to 2012. I was in school and I was newly sober and I was finishing my psychology degree. And, you know, that was the start of the sobriety.
Wow. Your family must have been really worried about you, were they?
Yes, they were.
Listening to you, the biggest thing that really stands out for me is how lost you were. It just sounds like you were completely lost.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how it felt?
Yes. Would have said like I was a lost soul, kind of
Yeah.
seeking, trying to
Yeah.
find like a little girl who I didn't have. I mean, I had a family who loved me, but there were issues in the family that were coinciding with, my acting out. So I just didn't really have a place to like be guided. I was kind of like, I guess, I need to figure this out. And early in my days, like when I first went to in my different experiences at colleges, I remember trying to find like community, and I checked out like youth groups, and I tried to like turn to religion, even though I didn't have really a basis of religion. I mean, I technically was Christian growing up, but there was no strong connection. There was no really foundation. But I was like, I could see looking back that I was really looking for something to grasp onto and to anchor to. And I I didn't find it really until, I guess, until sobriety, and I started to find community. And getting into yoga. I got really heavily into yoga that first year of sobriety, and that was also a community feel that I never really had before, that I didn't feel was authentic in the past. Like I was in friend groups, but I think I would pick like just a couple of friends and they would be from different groups. And so it would always be like this one-on-one thing. And I'm from a family of 6 children, and I'm the fourth. I'm one of the middles, and that was like a little group community, but I also felt very different in my family. So I was coming from this place of not really knowing who I was or what I needed, trying to figure out who I was and create an identity, but also having felt very different from my family of origin and all of the effects that came from that, where it was like, I don't know where I fit in. Like, I'm just trying to find it, and I don't know where it is. I don't know if it exists. But I think that I started to find it, yeah, when I got sober, with the sober people, and then with like yogis.
That's so interesting. My story is almost exactly the same. Completely lost, never feeling like, just looking for the gang, right? I joined the Christian Union when I was at university because of the belonging, and they seem to have answers, but that doesn't work when you do cocaine. I was doing cocaine as well. Cocaine, like, loved it, finished me off. That's how we got sober so young. Okay, that is, like, if anybody wonders, if I hadn't found cocaine, I'd have probably still been drinking into my 40s. Cocaine just finishes you off, just done, right?
Like zero to 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would wake up, the come downs. I mean, I know, I'd
Mhm.
rather, I just walk around thinking, why, like, I had no serotonin, none. And just, unable to know how I was going to get through that day, let alone live the rest of my life. And that's why, and compounded with my panic attacks and anxiety, like, it finished us off. And then it's interesting because I am an only child, and I would have loved to have been one of 6. I would have loved to have been in that somewhere. It's really interesting, but that just constant seeking. And again, I think that's the other thing that saved my life. And I think it's the same with you, like seeking, like, where, what is it? Is it this? Like, just that kind of natural curiosity as well, I think, was life-saving.
And I think you bring up a really good point, because I think some of the things that make us prone to addiction also are our biggest strengths. So, like, that seeking and that curiosity and that open-mindedness and wanting to try new things and being, like, persistent in finding that. I think that, because I know people and kids that don't even try anything. They don't have an urge to do. If they're offered something, they don't have to think about, should I do this? They just say no. And I was just so open and so, I think, just so empty too, where, like, I would do anything. I'll try anything. I'll do anything. Like, and I think those qualities, when used for a positive when used towards a positive trajectory, are really, really, they're really great qualities. Like open-mindedness, persistence, curiosity, like seeking. I think even in spirituality and in recovery, we can take it too far. But the basis of those character traits have also done a lot to serve me in good ways.
Yeah, I agree. This was my belief. I believed it was possible to be happy and safe and fulfilled and live a life you wanted to live, instead of this sort of state of desperation I seem to exist in. I just didn't have the how. And I just had to find the how to get from where I was to that place. And that is what motivated me. It's like, I believed that place existed. I just needed to, where is the how to get to that place?
Yeah.
And for me, it was sobriety and the 12 steps. So tell me, how, like, what did you go to rehab? Did you do 12 step? What did you do?
I just want to comment on that. Like, I totally agree. So there was something bigger that I knew I was totally missing out on my potential, that I was like, I know there has to be more than this. If there's not more than this, like, I want to die now. I know that there's something greater, and I don't know how to get there, and I don't know exactly what it looks like, but I know that there's more beyond this life that I'm living, because this life that I'm living is so small.
Yeah.
And it's so painful that, like, if this is what life is, then I don't want to do it. And I started with the 12 steps. I was seeing a counselor. I'd always been in therapy pretty, like, continuously since I was a teenager. So I was in my last year of school, and on campus, there was an AA meeting, and I started going to it, and it was a speaker meeting. So all I had to do was listen. And it was just perfect for what I needed at that time. And I was very, very slow to warm up to, like, I wanted to have one foot out and one foot in for a while. Like, didn't get a sponsor until I was 10 months in. Really reluctant to just be all in. Yoga really helped me at the same time, simultaneously, with just reconnecting back to my body. And again, the sense of community and just staying on the path of, like, I didn't consciously do this, but just replacing the drive and that obsessive tendency to yoga. So from like drinking, going out, whatever, to yoga. I'm going to be obsessed with yoga. And so I was every day. It was my life. It was my new like drug of choice, healthier drug of choice, but still very much like addicty relationship with it. So as time went on, like really respect and appreciate the 12 steps. I was introduced to other programs from AA that were also very helpful in getting to work on other issues and issues related. And I didn't go to rehab, but I did end up going to inpatient, intensive outpatient for an eating disorder, like 3 years into being so. Once I was 3 years sober, so my eating issues came really into focus because the other stuff was gone. So I did do that, and that was very helpful. It's like 4 months of intensive outpatient,
And you've been sober how long now?
so I just had 13 years in September. Yeah.
Wow, congratulations. So tell me about what lessons, what takeaways from those 13 years. It changes a lot, doesn't it? Like from the first year to the 5 years, like the journey is incredible. It's so expansive.
So expansive. That's a great word for it, because it is. It's different every year. I mean, and it's like an evolution of just, I think, opening up more and more to life and to my true self. And as with you, I'm sure, and everybody in recovery and every human in life, it's like, it's not this like straight path or linear, you know, process. It's like we have detours and setbacks. I've never relapsed on alcohol or drugs, but I mean, there have been 13 years. If you think about 13 years, I'm 39. So 1/3 of my life has been sober, and a lot has happened in the last 13 years, just as far as going through different stages of life and, everything that life brings: change, illness, death, grief, loss, success, like new levels of joy and openness. So it's really, I mean, it's been, as you said, expansive to experience all that sober. One thing I've really learned is that even if my regimen looks different, I'm still in recovery, and I always will be, hopefully. And so I just remember that at the base of everything is like, I'm not arriving. I haven't arrived. I haven't reached a destination where I'm not human anymore, where I stop being human. And I've also heard of people decades into recovery who slip up, and it freaks me out because like sometimes I forget about I definitely do forget about what it used to be like. The more years go by, the more removed I am from it and from being that very young girl. But whenever I get a glimpse of like seeing somebody else in addiction, or I'm just reminded that I'm not immune to, you know, potentially relapsing. So I have to just be really keep it at the front and center, like keep my recovery no matter what it looks like. As the years have gone on, what I need and want changes. And sometimes I'm way more immersed in certain tools than other times, or I change it up, or, I honor that too. And I've used so many different modalities to like facilitate healing. And I've also, it's not just about healing. It's like, I want to live life too. So it's that balance of just, being a human and being someone who is on a spiritual path, who like sees every struggle as I see every struggle as like a lesson, and, constantly learning and still being a seeker, but not quite to the extent that I used to be, with always thinking something's around the corner. Like, I can really be kind of at peace and at ease with just how things are.
Can you talk to me a little bit about spirituality and how you understand that, and how, like, what that means to your sobriety and journey?
Such a big word, right? I mean, it's almost indescribable. Like, and meaning means different things to different people. I think my spirituality and the way that I understand it, my concept of it, is really the cornerstone of everything in my life, especially my recovery. And for me, it's just at the end of the day, feeling that sense of connection and intimacy with the rest of life, my environment, myself, nature, God, and other people. So, like that open line of communication to those things, and how my ability to be like present to that and just be in the experience of life, like be in the flow of life, and is actually very simple and mundane spirituality to me. And I've done a lot of the, like, I guess you could say, like pop spirituality stuff, and that's okay. And like that might be where somebody is, but to me it's very, you can't even tell, like you can't tell from the outside. It's not about like wearing like a mala necklace, or chanting, or like wearing all white, or even going to church, or going to, it's really about like how I'm relating to life all day long.
How you're relating to life all day long. I like that. That's really interesting. Where are you at now? Tell me about your life now.
What do you want to know?
Well, I mean, because it's interesting. Our stories are really similar. We got sober at pretty much the same age. I'm in my 50s. You're probably still in your 30s. Like, it's just, I want to tell you, each decade, it's better and better and better. Like what's the relationship like with your family? Like what's your life like, and what's next for you? What's kind of,
Okay.
how's it continue to expand?
Yeah. So I'm definitely going to be a little vulnerable now. Not that the other stuff wasn't, but it's just from the past. Yeah, I'm 39. I'll be 40 next year, so I'll hit that milestone in life where I'm actually right now, currently, like today, just getting current. I'm very much in a liminal space of like lots of, I'm looking at every part of my life, and it feels like there's a lot of changes coming, and I'm not sure what they're going to look like. And so I'm like in the incubator period of exploring that, and not to be vague. So I'm single, and I recently got out of a relationship, and so I'm kind of like post breakup healing from that, and all the things that it was a huge devastation. I think the just know it, where I am at in life with my age being my age, and I think there's a lot of being in this relationship and kind of being able to see a future, and then it kind of falling apart. I'm still in like the aftermath of that. So I've had a lot of clarity come from it, but I also, my life from where it was like a month or two ago, and now it's like there was a turn. And so I'm trying to go with that pivot, but I definitely feel I've gone through this grief process with it, where so I talk about this, and I've been open about this other places. Um, I don't know that I'll get to be a mom or birth my own children. That feels really scary, to feel like wish may not be fulfilled. And I'm in that place where like I think I want a child, and I don't know if it's going to happen, and I don't even know for sure that I want one. So it's very weird, because it's like I think I can go either way, but God has not. I really do trust God, and I'm like, if God doesn't want me to, birth a child, then that's what it is. And I know that there's time, but there's much time, in my opinion. And so, speaking of family, I've got 4 sisters and 1 brother, and all my siblings are married, and 3 of them have children, and the 4th one is pregnant now with her first child. And I love being an aunt. I love being an aunt so much, and I kind of like think, if that's my if that's the path, I'm a godmother, I'm an aunt. If that's how I don't know. So the guy that I was dating had 3 children, and I was really trying to get used to the idea of like potentially stepping into a stepmom role. And I thought maybe God wanted that for me. Like that's how God wanted me to have, you know, be in a maternal role. So because everything's shaken up and I don't know what the future holds, but I do have a lot of faith. I am, just finding myself like nearing 40 and not quote unquote where I thought I would be, and trying to be at peace with that because it's what is. Like, you can't force things to be. And also allowing myself to feel my feelings of grief, disappointment, whatever, and also get clear on what it is that, like, I don't know if I need to decide definitively. I kind of would say I didn't want to be a mom until I was 33. I actually adamantly didn't want to be a mom. I said, I don't really want to have children in this lifetime. And a lot of it had to do with like not wanting to be responsible for another human and feeling like I already had enough problems. I didn't want to, whatever. Um, and then when I was 33, it was like that thing of the biological clock or whatever. It just all of a sudden, like I literally woke up one day and I had this very strong desire, burning desire, aching feeling. And that was 6 years ago. And so the way that I feel about it is if it's right, if the circumstances are right and it feels right, it will happen. Like, I'm not so attached to it that I would adopt on my own or anything like that. I want to have like a family. So I want to have like a loving partner with a
Yeah.
child, like, and then create a child from that. Otherwise, I don't, you know, that's what I see. So that's where I am with that. Family's great, lots of boundaries there, lots of endless lessons there with my family of origin. So much to learn all the time because there's so many of them. And what's so funny?
I'm just like the endless lessons that our family from our families of origin. Yeah. Sorry,
Yes,
that's yeah.
I do believe that, our souls kind of choose our family,
Yeah, I agree.
and that we come here to learn something from them, and we were like, I'm in this family for a reason. And so what is that higher purpose? And so that's kind of, oh, career wise and professional, lots of things are shaking up. I'm very much these days about less and less and less like mentality of what I should be doing or need to be doing, and really just following my intuition and my heart with what feels right, even if it looks weird to, even if I can't explain it, even if it's not logical, really just trying to find out what makes me happy, because that's the thing about like what made me happy 2 or 3 years ago isn't necessarily the same now. And so just constantly like recalibrating. And I'm definitely in another big pivot with that. And I don't know what that looks like yet, but I feel really open, and I feel really trusting to what I'm being led to. I do still want to write a book. I've had that dream for a long time. I haven't done it yet. So we'll see. We'll see what 2025 brings.
So this is why I wanted Sasha on the show, because how she shares, and thank you for being so vulnerable with us. I want to say on that, it's really like I'm 24 years sober. It's really easy to look at people who've been sober for a long time, lives are so much better, but to not like life stuff happens,
Mhm.
right? In my 24 years, I've had some really challenging relationship, like stuff with my kids, financial,
Mhm.
like we stay sober, even, you know, and but like, you know, I don't walk around with this serene kind of like, oh, bless you, my child, you know, like life happens to us. It's how we navigate life. You know, we have our feelings and we get disappointed and all those things happen. So thank you for sharing that, because it's important that people know that at long time sobriety, it's like it all gets better, right? Like the difference, like I want you to have what you want, and I know that you will. I just know when you go through something very difficult, like a breakup with someone you were planning a future with, I know that you are in a position to grow the shit out of that. The growth and learnings that will enrich you, that I know that you will have, that will take you to your next square. That's the difference, right? Before, when stuff like that happened, it was just, well, it was just an ungodly mess, and there was no growth. You know, it's just like it's a night and day. It's that the growth that comes from that is just really, really significant. And yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people will relate to that. Like, men don't have that challenge. It is when you get, you know, I've had people on the show who never wanted kids, don't want kids. Great. Good that you know that. That's awesome. Other people who unexpectedly had a kid when they didn't mean to and dealt with that and or didn't deal with it very well. And then other women who are in this, like, we do have a window, and there, you know, a lot of that is out of your control, and navigating that is really, I want to tell you, I had my kids at 38 and 42, and my peer group, no one had kids until they were way into their 30s, multiple in their 40s. And every woman I know who wanted to be a mother became a mother in every different way that's possible. They got pregnant at 43, surrogacy, adopting older kids, becoming a stepmother. Like every person who wanted to mother, they did. I have a good friend who lives, it's fun that we were talking about this before. My best friend from high school lives like 30 minutes from me in Alabama, which is so crazy because we wouldn't be able to find it on a map when we were 15 years old. And she adopted 2 kids from a Ukrainian orphanage. And she's a wonderful mom. And they are amazing kids. And they are a family. And it really, and, you know, this is the experience I was meant to have. These were the kids I was meant to have. It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
So I kind of just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you for sharing that. It's really heartwarming. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think that there's a degree of that we have to leave up to God, but there's a degree, I think, that we can self-determine.
Yes.
As well. And I think some of that's about the energy. I think some of it is about the action. And yeah. So Sasha, you've been delightful. I knew you would be. So this is why I wanted Sasha on, because she just shares honestly, and you share stuff on your social media honestly, and you don't dress things up. You don't perform. You don't virtue signal and perform. That's why I like you. That's why I like you.
Thank you.
That's why.
I received that. Thank you.
So tell everybody where they can find you.
Oh, so mainly Instagram. It's just at Sasha_Tozzi, and my website, sashaptozzi.com, www. And that has all the information to get closer if you want to schedule something or DM me or anything like that. But I'm probably most active on Instagram and Facebook too, but it's not a business page anymore.
Okay. Yeah, well, please check out Sasha. I think you'll like her. I like the stuff that she posts. And thank you for being such a wonderful guest.
Thank you so much for having me. This was a really fun conversation.
You're welcome. Let's do it again soon.
Okay.